right, thanks for coming back to this video blog series. So this was around Xe.com and building a Nintex Workflow Cloud extension around all the different methods that Xe.com exposes. So we covered a bunch of stuff already, but I want to just cover a few more of the methods. And what I ended up doing is actually creating an extension for the entire API. And you can see on the right here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 methods that Xe.com API has, so I made them available as actions in my Nintex Workflow Cloud environment. So we've already kind of gone through the account info, currencies, and how we're using that. Convert from, convert to, I briefly covered. They're basically the same sort of thing. And then there's a few more around historic rates and monthly averages and stats. So I wanted to cover just some of the things that I added in here. So this is the Swagger editor for those who haven't seen it before, but I mentioned those in my other posts. So I want to cover a couple of little things in here. One of the important ones, if I just scroll down a little bit, is right here. Under this monthly average call, a couple of the parameters were around putting in a year and a month. And so I used this enum and I just typed in a whole bunch. So I've essentially hard coded a bunch of values in here. Just wanted to let you know that that's how I did that. And that becomes drop downs that are available in the Nintex Workflow Cloud design. The same with the month. And that's because the way this particular method call, the parameter that it takes for month is a value. So it's an actual 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of like January, February, March, etc. I guess that makes it a little bit more language agnostic. So that's just one of the things I wanted to make sure I point out. I also want to point out that in all the other methods, there's a lot of them take a from currency and a to currency, and so I'm still using the same dynamic values from that currencies call. Right? It was really easy, literally just a copy and paste. But the other thing I wanted to point out is that if you notice all of this, there's no code. This is all just essentially, once you actually come up here and go File, Convert and Save as JSON, it's basically all just text. It's just a text file. So you're not really coding anything. You don't need to be a developer to build this out. And so when you actually go and import this into your designer, let's go over here. And when you go to extensions and you import this in, and then you import the actual image file, etc., right? So you'll now have this new category, give it whatever name that you want. But when you go to create the workflow now you'll have a bunch of different actions. So let's scroll down a little bit, and you can see under Xe.com, I've got all my actions in here. So I can still use this action here if I wanted to, right? If I absolutely need to get the currencies, I can. You can also, through the actual definition, the extension, you can actually hide this particular one, because this is something that you may say, you know what, I don't really need to have this available, but it is available to all the other actions. So if I do a convert from, and I click on that, it goes and gets my connection. It also then goes and gets all those currencies, right? So if I grab stats, click on that, the same sort of thing should happen, right? So it's all very easy. So I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that, because I think that's one of the things that's kind of critical to making sure that the extension that you build for Nintex Workflow Cloud is something that's easy to use for everybody, right? If there are methods that you're calling that really have no other need to be used other than from within the other actions, then you can just make sure you hide them. The best place to go, if you haven't already seen it, is help.nintex.com. Scroll down a little bit, there's Nintex extensions right there. Click on that, and this has a bunch of information, including how to authenticate, how to add parameters, how to get responses back, all that sort of stuff. And there's also a bunch of examples as well in here. So this is a really great resource for you guys to use. Now I'm going to actually open up one of the workflows that I just built, and it's just using the stats action. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you kind of visibility into when you put in that information, what comes back. All right, so let's open up, this is an existing one that ran, and here's the actual workflow. All right, so here's the stats action. You can see I'm just checking the stats for a conversion from US dollars to Australian dollars between the dates of the 1st and the 31st of December in 2019. Excuse me. And when I look at the workflow that actually ran, you can see the data that comes back, right? And because it comes back as, the stats are an array, what that means is that we'll need to use the query JSON action to pull this information out. So this basically just says, over that particular period, what was the high, what was the low, what was the average, standard deviation, that sort of stuff. If that's something that's important for you, especially if you're doing any type of financial stuff or predictions, this is going to be really important for you to kind of get this information. Okay, so with that, if you have any other questions, definitely reach out to me. I'm going to see what other bits and pieces there are in Nintex Workflow Cloud extensions to see if it's worth kind of playing around with in this particular environment or this particular connector. But like I said, if you have any questions, definitely reach out to me. Thanks for your time.